96.2. Get him out of here. So it's called the two knights. It's called the two knights, okay? So we're going to be playing this opening going forward whenever we play against the Caro-Kann. We're not going to be taking it. Previously, this was a capture. We would do it on the spot. Okay? Knight c3. Suddenly we are taking back. And this is how I want you guys to play the opening. First of all, after knight c3, your opponents are probably going to take this pawn, I would say, 80% of the time. Maybe higher. You're going to take back. Okay? Got a knight in the middle of the board. If you guys remember Dan and Mayo's lesson, you'll remember that the move bishop f5 was played by black. If they play bishop f5, and this is very natural in the Caro-Kann, you're going to bring the knight back to g3. What if you push to d4? Don't worry, guys. I will look at everything. Not in tons and tons of depth, because we can't spend 2 hours on this, although I could. I'm going to give you guys the basic rundown. Knight g3. Okay, you're going to bring your knight back, and you're going to attack the bishop. The bishop's going to go to g6, because of course it is. You're going to play h4. You're going to try to trap the bishop and win it. Your opponent is going to do something that does not allow that to happen. h6 or h5, two of the only moves on the board, basically. As soon as they do this, you're going to play knight e5. And I know it might be like, man, this is really complicated. This is super advanced. This is just one line. I'm just going to commit it to memory. Knight e5. Hitting the bishop, and let's just say if I go here, if you were able to do this, that is a disaster. Your opponent's position is so bad here. Almost losing on the spot. He's not going to allow that. He's going to go here. Doesn't want that to happen. Bishop h7. Okay, we're gonna immediately target this. Okay, you're gonna threaten checkmate in 1. He's got to defend it. How can he defend it? Well, he actually only has one move. I know that might sound surprising, but he only has one move. If he plays queen d5 to defend it, well, you can already play bishop c4, and you're just completely winning the game immediately. Game's already over. Game's already over. So they're gonna play g6. You know, they're gonna play g6. Now, great thing to do after g6 is, just like I did, you're going to play bishop c4. And it's like, wait a minute. How many people are you going to checkmate like this? Probably 7. 7 people. In your chess career, you will checkmate 7 people like this. 7. Enjoy all of those games. Now, you're threatening checkmate in 1. Other than those 7 people, they might come up with this move. They might come up with it. And you're going to take this queen, and you're going to put it right back. You're going to save it. You're going to save it. You're going to put it back to e2. Now, what are you threatening here? You are threatening to play knight takes pawn, and queen takes e6, and you're going to mate this guy. That is what you're threatening. So if he does something like this, you're going to take this, and you're going to mate the guy. How many people will you checkmate like this? About 11. About 11. Enjoy them. Now, a select few people are going to play queen e7, and that's the best move. And then you're going to go right back to your habits, guys. You're going to go right back to your habits. You're going to play moves like d4, like castling, like bishop out, like rooks to the middle, suck the... Hey, you guys get the idea. You guys get the idea. But the point is, you're setting yourself up for success with this opening. You're setting yourself up for success with the opening. So these are, I mean, let's just see how many moves we've made. Can we see here? 10 moves. So this is like 10 moves of opening. You could call it theory. We're setting ourselves up. There's a lot of ways that your opponent is going to be messing this up already. Let's be clear. He might let you take this bishop. He might let you checkmate him here. He might let you checkmate him there. He might blunder the knight takes f7. This is just stuff that will happen in your games. And this is an example of what you do when someone plays bishop f5. If someone plays bishop g4, and without going into a lot of detail, we're going to stick to the habits. We're going to go h3. He's probably going to take. Let's just say he goes back. Play knight here. If the bishop goes here, play h4, and you are in the exact same position that we just looked at. Okay? Exact same, I promise you. As bishop f5. Knight g3. Exact same position. Now, if he takes your knight, just take it back and follow the habits here. That's all you need to do. Follow the habits. Get a pawn in the middle of the board. Get your bishop out. Get this bishop out. Castle. Rooks to the middle. You guys know the drill. Okay? Just follow the habits. Right? And those are the two most common moves. What else? Knight here. And this is what happened in my game. You guys remember. Why did I play this queen move? Well, this is something you're just going to commit to memory. This is what you're going to play. You're going to bring your queen out. You might be like, dude, why are you bringing your queen out? I'm going to show you. If he plays here, you're going to checkmate him. How many people are you going to mate like this? Easily 15. Easily. Okay? So this is going to be very common. I checkmate people like this on Sub Sunday all the time. Blunder. Okay? Now, if he brings his bishop out again, stick to the habits, h3. If he ever brings his bishop there, we're always going to have that habit move h3. That's always there for you. That's always there for you. Okay? Now, if he plays moves like bishop to f5, we're no longer going to do the exact same thing. Okay? We're just going to take this knight. He's going to have to take this way because there's a pin. It's kind of one of the main ideas why we put our queen there. And then from this point, we're going to stick to the habits. Let's bring our pawn up. Let's get our bishop out. We're going to move our queen, bring our bishop castle. That's good enough for us. Okay? There are more advanced ways to play this with a bishop on g2. Don't need to bother with it. Keep it nice and simple. Just get your pieces out. Move your queen out of the way to get the bishop out. Maybe to c4, and you can pick a side to castle. Go for it. Okay? Go for it. Lots of ways to play this. Do I think this is going to happen a lot? No, I think this is going to be pretty uncommon. Pretty uncommon, which is why I'm spending the least amount of time on it. Follow the habits from here. That'll be good enough. Okay, queen e2. You might be like, wait, what if he played like he did in the game? Well, let's see. He wants to get his bishop out, but he can't do it. Now, how tilted is a Caro-Kann player that can't bring their bishop out after playing those two moves? Let me tell you. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being tilted, my guy is easily a 9 to 10. He can't put his bishop here. So why did my opponent play this? Because he needed to put it there. It was like it was hurting his soul, his very being. After bishop f5, I played knight e5, and I blundered my queen. And he took it. How many people are you going to checkmate like this? One. You're all going to play this guy, River Den, and you're all going to checkmate him the same way. We're going to pile up on River Den. The same guy is going to lose to every single one of you in chat. Promise you. River Den, we're coming for you. He's going to take massive L's in his career. Now, does he have to play this? No, of course. He could play a lot of different things. Let's say knight here. Well, you guys are going to see my bishop go to the same square. And when the knight goes here, what are we going to do? We're going to do the same move. You're going to blunder your queen. How many are you going to mate like this? Tons of people. This is, oh, guys, you guys are going to be sailing. You see how many queen sacks for checkmate we have in this opening? And what are you guys noticing about the opening? Hopefully you're noticing, hey, the knight often goes here. The bishop often goes there. Start to understand where the pieces go in this opening, where they belong. Start to put them there more. Start to put them there all the time. Okay? So sure, after this, he can stop checkmate by going here. But then you're going to move your queen back. And this guy, without his bishop out here, he won't know what to do. He will literally be so confused, I promise you. All you're going to do is follow habits. So you can see that as we improve to level 3, what I'm trying to set you guys up for is a few opening moves, a few ideas, and then you're going to go right back to the habits after that. You're not going to memorize the whole game. So you're just going to set yourself up for success, a good opening position, and then we have habits coming right after that, all right? So we're going to bring our queen back. We got our bishop out, knight. We're going to castle. We're looking to get our pawn either to d4 or d3, get our bishop out, rooks to the middle. We've done this before. Okay, so most things after pawn takes, knight takes e4. I know I talked quickly. I know I spoke, without going into too much detail. But hopefully you guys have a very brief idea about what we are supposed to do against most of Black's replies. Most of their replies. Okay, you're not going to be perfect, but hopefully you have an idea where the pieces go. Whenever you see this move, we spoke about h3. Bishop f5, we spoke about the knight coming back. Knight f6, we spoke about queen e2. There's one thing that we didn't speak about, which was d4. Everyone was like, hey, dude, what do I do about d4? Don't worry, guys. d4 is an inaccuracy. we're chilling. Okay, so you play knight e2. You attack the pawn. Okay. He's got to defend it. How can he defend it? How can he defend it? Very simple. He's got one move. He's got one move. Okay. So immediately when he plays that, you're just going to crack it open. You're just going to crack it open. We don't want to be sitting in closed position. So we're going to go like this. Now, he can take it. That's fine. He might be stubborn. He might want to keep defending it. The only thing we're going to remember is that if he defends it, you're going to go here. And now you're going to win the pawn with the move queen a4. Okay? This is going to pin the knight, and it's going to win this pawn by force. By force. If he plays e5, it's still pinned. So you're going to take this pawn next. What if he goes d3? He can go d3. It's not going to save his pawn, right? It's not going to save his pawn. He can go d3. But this pawn, at some point in this game, is going to be taken by your bishop right here. There's no way that these pieces can support this pawn better than these pieces can attack this pawn. Does that make sense? There's no way. There's no way. That's just the bottom line. What if he goes d3 here, everyone's saying? What about d3 here? What about d3 here? Guys, what did I just say? There's no way that this army can support that guy better than this army can attack it. There's no way. Knight f4, I'm going to attack this pawn. What are you guys going to do? c4? You're going to blunder a pawn. I have queen a4 check, and I'm going to take this pawn. And then I'm going to take his homie on d3. So I'm going to win 2 pawns. You're going to give me 2 extra pawns. It's not going to work. My knight here threatens this pawn, and there's no way these guys can defend it. It's just impossible. Okay? So just plain and simple, if people start pushing their pawn way up the board like that, that's called overextending. That's called overextending. Fair question. What about d3 before c5? Sure. Sure, go for it. I'll take it. You're going to take with your queen? That's fine with me. It's fine with me. I'm just going to move my knight somewhere. Let's say here. Guard my pawn. Your queen's going to have to leave. And then I play d4. Who's going to complain about this? I've got 2 knights. I've got 2 central pawns. It's a beautiful position. I'm going to put my bishop out exactly where I always put it. I'm going to castle. Nobody's complaining here. Nobody's complaining here. So, after knight f3, d5, I know we only spent about 10, 15 minutes on it. But that is what we're going to do. I know it's fast, but that 10, 15 minutes, we're going to try to commit that to memory. Every one of us. As we're moving to level 3, we're going to commit that to memory. Of course, there are other moves that could be played. I can't possibly talk about, every single move. But if you see a move that's not something we discussed, just use habits. You're never going to, get a terrible position just using habits. We've played against the Caro-Kann before not knowing any of this, and we still got a great position. We still managed, So we're going to play knight c3, and if you see something that's unfamiliar, just use habits. Just use habits. Okay? And what did we experience in this game, start to finish? Well, this was our game. We checkmated the guy. We KO'd him. That's it. So that's the Caro-Kann in a nutshell. That's how we're going to handle it. When we play it another time, you guys are probably going to see it. All right? So let's leave it at that. That was a lot. Hopefully you guys took your notes. We're going to go back. And we're going to resume. Just some simple tips, moves you need to remember. You remember those, your Caro-Kann is going to improve like times 100. Times 100. Queen's under attack. So the beginning moves of the game are going to be a little bit different, right? They are. However, we're going to try to transition into a middle game where we can still follow the habits comfortably. Okay? So we won a pawn already. That's the end of our preparation, right? That's it. Okay? That's all you guys need to know. We just won a pawn, successful opening. Already, that's the habits coming in, right? That's that little bit of practice we did in the opening. As I mentioned, if you're doing like something small in the opening, if you're memorizing just a few moves, that's probably more than your opponents are doing. Thinking about you guys in the chat, before building habits, did you guys memorize any opening moves? No, you guys probably wake up, and put some pants on. Probably not. Just roll over to the computer chair, fire up chess.com, and just play. You guys just play. You guys aren't studying, you're just playing. Study just a little bit. Makes a world of difference. Just that world of difference. Why are we playing e5? Because anytime that we can shove a pawn forward and the knight cannot go into the center, please count me in. Let's continue. Habits. Bishop's out. Tom NYC just played a game. He has 5 missed wins. There you go. You see? Tom, 5 missed wins is a lot, but we gotta combat that. Okay, bishop c6. We're gonna trade queens. Why? We're up a pawn, okay? We are up a pawn. So, still got our extra pawn here. As I mentioned, when the queens are off the board, these double pawns are less of a concern. However, what I am going to do here is I'm going to go bishop back just to cover that knight for those double pawns. I think that probably allowing this was just fine here, maybe even preferred. But we're going to stick with those habits. We're going to get the knight defended by the bishop. We're going to get castled. Probably want to push this pawn forward next, get the bishop out. That's how we're going to continue. Hey, Kukulov, how you doing, buddy? Okay, bishop's out. Let's move the pawn. We need to get this guy out, probably to e3 or f4. There we go. Knight there. Let's play bishop out. Let's take a look, guys. The Evans Gambit. 89.2. Get him out of here, respectfully. Now, the Evans Gambit. A tricky opening, seriously. An opening that causes problems. Now, the Evans Gambit is something that if you try to react normally or very instinctively to it, I think you get in trouble. So, after this move, first of all, there's probably about 50% of people who are going to put their bishop here and lose the game 5 moves later. You know what I mean? It's like, why are you walking back into this? You just got out of it, type of thing. Okay, so ignoring the 50% of people there, let's find a better move. There's no way we want to go here and just walk into d4. D4 is his whole plan was c3. Okay, bishop a5. Some of you geniuses might say, oh, I'm pinning the pawn. Let's go. Okay, d4 happens. You take, the guy castles. You're greedy. You take again. The guy goes queen b3. He attacks your pawn. You realize you have to defend it. You go queen e7 and pretty much lose the game immediately after the knight gets to d5 and the bishop gets to a3. Yeah. You will lose this game. Trust me. Okay, so that's the bishop a5 bras. There's the bishop a5 guys. There's the bishop c5 guys. There's also the bishop d6 guys. The guys who play bishop d6, you know, book move. They're feeling pretty good. It's like, buddy, you're blocking your bishop on c8. Let me tell you something. Newsflash, you're going to lose this game too. Bishop on d6 is something you just simply do not want in your chess games ever. Okay? Get out of there. Get out of there. Bishop e7. Me, an intellectual. Wow, what a great move. Let me explain queen b3. You guys are probably saying, hey, Hamba, queen b3. Dumbass, you're going to lose your pawn. Am I really going to play knight h6 here to defend everything? What's going on? Knight h6? Am I playing knight h6, really? Am I playing knight a5? Genius move? Beautiful move to let him take and then no, knight h6, guys. Queen there, knight h6. I'm going to defend. Tell me what I do after this. Tell me what I do after this. D4. He's gonna take my knight. Do you guys see it? Oh, that's right. I just gave you a hint. Knight A5. Knight A5. You're gonna take his bishop. You're gonna take his bishop. Get rid of it. An Evans Gambit guy who doesn't have this bishop is not. He's not doing anything to you. He's literally not injuring you in any way. Dudes who play the Evans Gambit and don't have their light squared bishop, literally a headless chicken. They have no clue what to do. No clue what to do. Okay? You take their bishop, you will not lose the game. You will not lose the game. Move knights to the ring. Got it. Yep, you got it, guys. So what are they going to do after this? What are they going to do after this? They're going to go d4. Of course they're going to go d4. They just played c3. They just played c3. They're going to go d4. Now, how many of you guys are going to take this? Dude, probably like 90% of you. Probably like 90% of you. We're not going to take it. Guys, we're not going to take it. We're going to follow the Evans habits. Knight on the rim, brilliant move. Knight on the rim. Brilliant move. You might be like, dude, what's going on here? I'm telling you, if you take this guy's bishop, he won't have any clue what to do. He won't have any clue what to do. Knight takes e5, sure. You take his bishop, you play d5, I promise you, you will win this game. You will win this game. Takes, your knight can now develop to a normal square. You have two bishops, and you're going to castle. Nice and simple. Nice and simple. In fact, you can even decide to play knight f6 and take with a knight. Very similar idea. If he wants to keep his bishop, well, he obviously can't stay on this diagonal because you're covering all the squares, right? And if he goes here, you can always kick him away. So what if he saves his bishop? That's fine. Am I going to take this pawn? No. No. Guys, do not let this happen. Don't let two pawns appear there. That's not good. I'm going to play d6. Nice and chill. Nice and chill. Can he take? Oh, absolutely. He can take. Can he take it? Yes. But remember, the Evans Gambit, he already gave us a pawn. So I'm just going to develop my knight. I'm going to castle. He's going to move his knight at some point. I'll bring my knight back into the game. That's all you need to do. That's all you need to do. So very simply, against the Evans Gambit, what we're going to do is we're going to take the pawn. We're going to go back to e7. If they play d4, we're going to play knight a5. We're going to kick the bishop off this diagonal. If he lets us take it, we take it immediately. Always take that bishop if you can. If he moves the bishop back, you're not going to try actively to hang on to this pawn. That's not good. When people play gambits against you and try to hang on to the pawn, you're going to end up in trouble. I'm just going to go here. We can bring the knight back to c6. Knight out to f6, castle. Those are all moves that are going to happen next. All moves that are going to happen next. Queen a4 check, yes. Queen a4 check. What are we going to do here? We're going to play c6 so we don't blunder our knight. You're absolutely correct. They can go ahead and take here. Nothing's changing. I take back. I still want to do this. I'm attacking his bishop now. Even better. Even better. Okay? The knight can't be attacked. I'm not concerned. I can play b5 to kick his queen out later. Next move even. Okay? I'm going to give this pawn up intentionally. I'm going to play knight f6 and castle. That's all I want to do. All I want to do. Queen here. I'm going to defend that pawn. And my next move, I'm going to fork this queen and bishop, and I'm going to take that thing. If I take that thing, I can't lose the game. Tell yourself that. Dude, Evans Gambit, without this bishop, the guys have no idea what to do. No idea. Okay, that's it. That's it. We're not going to go deeper than that. How to recognize the Evans Gambit? It'll be when the guy plays this move, because b4 is the Evans Gambit. So you'll know it when you see it. It'll be the Evans Gambit, b4. So, that's all. We're going to play bishop e7. And, well, in my game, I played bishop e7. He played d4. Nice and easy. I played d6. Now, what happened in my game? Played d6. What should Buddy have done? Buddy should have played queen b3, right? Of course. Of course he should have. Did he do that? No. Unfortunately, James did not do that. Damn. Unfortunate. But again, these games never matter because when I play them, I already know that I'm going to go into analysis and tell you guys what you should do afterwards. So, bishop b7, and we're looking for knight a5 to hit that bishop. If he attacks our pawn, we're going to defend it, and then we're planning knight a5. So it's all about going here, trying to get his light squared bishop, and giving away a pawn back if necessary. Okay, that's it. That's all we're going to say on it. That's right. I mean, hey, this is the French. We haven't seen the French yet. Let's have a look. e4, e6. Okay, French defense. French defense. What are we going to do against the French defense? Okay. Number one, I am not about to recommend something like this where we get a very closed position. Closed position, nope. No. We need some open positions. Okay? We need some open positions, and most importantly, we need some positions that we can follow habits in. Okay? We need some positions that are generally fairly simple and that we can follow good habits in going forward. Okay, so some French lines that might be very good are going to be more tough to play when it comes to applying habits because you're not going to be able to play everything perfectly. Now, what's wrong with the closed? There's nothing wrong with the closed, but I think at the lower levels, people who play this move lose this game likely within the next 10 moves. Very common. At 1100, if you play this, black attacks the center, plays this, people start playing this, and just like lose the game. I've seen this like 1,000 times. Nobody knows how to properly defend a center against the French. This is why people play the French. Everybody gets super quick wins like this. Nobody knows how to properly handle the center. Like, how many people are going to go here and just like give up this pawn because of the tactic bishop there? How many people are then going to realize after bishop d7 that, well, actually, that's now a threat, and you have to defend that? They might just castle, might not know what they're doing. It's so complicated. It's just like, it's been seen before. The advance is not what I'm going to recommend to you. Hey, if you play the advance, you know what you're doing, power to you. Power to you. But I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of it. So, like I said, going to go for a slightly more open position. And black's going to play d5 the same way against c6. They're also going to play d5. They're going to autopilot it. It's almost a pre-move. That's what the French is. e6, d5. So, we're not going to go for closed position. What other lines are there? Well, d4, d5. There's two main moves that I would say. There's also this. Knight c3, knight d2, and e takes d5. Okay? We're not going to go for e5. So, pawn takes d5 is a great variation. There's probably another place that you might want to go if you like e takes d5, and that would be the pharmacy to get some Viagra, you low testosterone bastard. I am not recommending e takes d5. So please, anyone who plays e takes d5, just have some self-respect, okay? Have some self-respect, right? That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. Now, we're not going to play e5. We're not going to play pawn takes. We're going to defend the pawn. How are we going to defend the pawn? Knight c3, knight d2. Both very, very logical moves. Okay. Which one do we actually like? Well, I'm going to choose the one that I believe is a lot more simple to understand, which is knight d2. Knight c3. If people play bishop b4, I think the position gets very, very, very confusing. We're going to choose something nice and simple. Knight d2. It's the easiest way to get positions that still involve all the normal good habits that we've developed so far. We keep the tension, absolutely. Something we're learning in level 3, Fedya, 100%. knight d2. Now, your opponents may have all sorts of things, but trust me, if you play this move at 1100, I think a remarkable majority of your opponents are going to take this pawn. They're going to take this pawn because they're just really excited to take things. I mean, this is normal. This is normal. You're going to take back, right? So I think you'll get this position a lot of the time. And this is great for habits. This is all we need. We need knight, bishop, castle, rook to e1, queen e2, this rook over to d1 after we put this bishop somewhere. So this is all we need. This is all we need. Okay? What if they'll put bishop b4? Well, bishop b4 against this is not going to be very effective, right? Bishop b4 against this, you just play c3. Okay? If your knight was on c3, this would be much more of an issue, let's say. Okay? So if they play bishop b4, who cares? Just kick them out. Kick them out. Right? Now, there's also going to be a percentage of people, after you play this move, that are going to play c5 because that's the French move after e5, and they're sort of like autopiloting. This is maybe what they would normally do against e5. So they might play c5. This is a very, very natural move. Okay. After c5, we have an important decision to make. First of all, there's a lot of tension here. Do we want to be the person who releases the tension? Depends. It depends. But what I like to go for in this position is a move that maintains the tension, which is just knight f3. So we're going to support both of these pawns. Okay, we're waiting for their decision. If they take, or if they take, it's going to affect what we do. Okay, for example, if they take here, if you take back, it's an important decision for your opponent to make because the move knight d4 is actually not the best move. Surprisingly, the best move is actually pawn takes here. Now, are we going to have everyone out here playing pawn takes d5? Well, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Do you guys remember the Evans? You guys remember the Evans? There was like knight h6. So trust me, in some of these openings that we're learning, we are going to be making some decisions that look a little bit strange. And that's because they're for the purpose of the opening. There's just, unfortunately, some things, they have to be learned the difficult way. You have to make a move that might not be natural to you. Okay? Might not be natural to you. But I promise you it'll set you up for a very comfortable game later on. So the whole idea is if we go here, if they take their pawn here. If they take back like this, eventually you'll just capture this pawn. You'll develop normally. You'll castle. Okay, bishop here, castle. Knight takes. Very simple. If they take with the queen, okay, then basically our idea in this opening is not only do we want to attack the queen to gain some time, but after we attack the queen, it's got to go somewhere safe. Just keep guarding the pawn. We're going to get castled, and we're going to bring our knight here, and we're going to take that pawn. And there's nothing your opponents are going to be able to do to stop that. Okay? Simple. You're going to attack the queen so that you can get castled very quickly. You're going to castle, and then you're going to move here, and you're going to take that pawn. And after you take that pawn, you're going to have a very, very easy time developing. Where do your rooks go? Well, bloody obvious. Bring them to the middle. Where does this bishop go? It can honestly move to any number of those squares. The queen usually goes to e2. The rooks go to the middle. So your development is going to be very simple. Your development is going to be very simple. And that's what I want to set you guys up for. Very easy development. You still follow the habits. Okay? Now, after this move, they might do something different. But generally speaking, what we're going to be going for is that position I just mentioned. An isolated pawn on the d file. So if we can get a position like this, where there's an isolated pawn here, one black pawn, something like this, that's going to be a very easy thing to play against, and it's something that's actually going to teach us a lot of very good habits. Mayo just went over this with Dan, if you guys watched that stream. It's not like we're going to play these exact moves right now, but what I'm saying is that if we can play against an isolated pawn, that's perfect. That's exactly what we need. Okay? Some of our openings are going to be more aggressive than others, but an isolated pawn is going to teach you everything you need to know. I mean, playing against an isolated pawn is the perfect way to improve. Okay? The knight here, the knight here, the bishop out, castling. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. But just to let you guys know, that is essentially what we're trying to go for. We're trying to get a position where black has one pawn here. Okay? But even if not, we can always simply just trade, bishop out, castle, and we're going to have a solid position. Is fianchettoing okay? I don't like fianchettoing. I don't like fianchettoing. I think we're going to keep our bishop moves always to this diagonal in this series for now, the habit series for now. Okay, so we're going to start like this. We're going to move bishop and knight. Knight here, and put our bishop here. Okay, and then we're going to put our knight here. These are the type of moves that we're going to go for from the start. E4, E6, we're going to start with D4. We're going to play knight D2. And we're going to try to, where possible, maintain our pawn in the center. Defend it with our pieces. Bring our pieces out like that. Castle. Okay. That's it. So that's the French. Could look at this game, but the game itself was kind of a crush. And on top of that, it wasn't something that I want you guys to repeat. It wasn't something that I want you to repeat. So that's why I'm focusing on, I mean, not this. This was the game. That's why I'm saying, hey, let's focus on this. Play D4, knight D2. Okay. Knight here. Yes, we want to take, but not till there's a C5. Okay. We don't want to play E5. We're going to try to avoid those positions. I think in general, the closed structure is not what we want to go for. So try to keep the tension. Bishop D3. If he takes, then we're always going to take back. Bishop's covering it. Not worried. Knight out. Right? You know, and your opponents can do multiple things. Bishop B4, we're always kicking the bishop back. C5. C5 is the other move. And after C5, again, there's going to be lots of suggestions. E5, C3, you know, those are all fine. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with any of those moves. In fact, they might even be better. We're going to pick something that I believe is fairly simple, very manageable, not too difficult to learn at the beginning. Okay, so in general, we're going to focus on getting developed. Knight F3, Queen E2, castling. C3, sure. C3, knight there. This is all fine. But although there might be more preferable moves, E5, if you like those E5 systems, you can play them. What I'm going to try to do is to show you guys a less complicated way to play. Isn't D4 hanging? Well, remember, D4 in a lot of positions, let's say even this one, might look like it's hanging, but the main idea is that you can leave it there because there's bishop B5 check, which wins the queen. So this tactic is keeping your position alive in most cases. So that's why you can leave the pawn there. That's the French. I still don't think we'll see a lot of the French. I think we'll see mostly E5. But just in case it does happen, let's go for this and knight D2. And, you know, you'll get some games in there. They'll be good. They'll be bad. You can analyze them after. Make sure you get on the right page. But for now, that's what we're going to do. D4, knight D2. It's called the Tarrasch. Okay? You want to have a look at it yourself? Go for it. But against the French, let's just say that's our plan going forward. We'll play D4 and knight D2. That's it. But it is super, super important. Super, super important. Okay. This opening. Gioco Piano. Italian game. C3. So, idea D4. I played knight here. Just a few things you need to know. Number one. If he takes back. Okay. Bishop B4. Check. He's going to do something to block check. Okay, he's going to do something to block it. He has a few options. It could be bishop D2. It could be knight C3. It could be knight D2. Right? I would say the most natural move is bishop D2 by far. Takes, and D5. You don't play D5, you're going to lose the game, I promise you. You're going to lose it every single time. D5. Okay? Takes, you're going to take back. Your next move is going to be castling. You can play bishop e6 to support your knight. Queen d7, rooks to the middle. Very easy, just like the habits, all right? That's pretty much as far as we need to go. But d5 is very, very key. If you play d6 or something more passive, you're going to get kicked around. These pawns are looking to advance, okay? So, bishop d2, we're just going to take and play d5. Nice and simple. There's also a few other moves, like knight d2, for example. In knight d2, you might be very tempted by something like knight takes e4. Okay? The way I see it, knight takes d4 only works if your follow-up is something like d5. But it's not easy to get that. I think d5 is absolutely the move that you want to go for in nearly every position. That's the good habit, okay? This move. Now, it's not always going to be the best move, right? In the other position, when bishop d2 was played, it was much, much better to take and play d5. But what we do want, we want a position where we can take back, castle, and we don't ever, ever want this or this move to kick our knights away, which is why d5 is important. What about e5 after d5? Well, there's a hanging bishop. You can just take it back. That's bishop for knight trade. It's good for me. And I'm up a pawn there. All right. See a thirsty monster. Congrats on the partner. Looks like a partner verified badge. It's awesome, man. Way to go. Keep it up. The grind's been paying off. So let's just say that here, if you played bishop b6, just like the habits maybe, these two moves would kill you. All right? They just absolutely kill you. Don't let it happen. d4, if they take back, give that check. And just keep in mind that d5 is the move you want to go for. It hits the bishop and the pawn, gets you out safely. Okay? Gets you out safely. Now, you don't want to get too technical, so we're going to leave it at that. e5. That's what he played in our game. I said d5. Right? Bit of a crazy move. Now, number one, if they take, we have to take a piece back, right? They take here, we got to move our rook. Otherwise, they take here with check, and we lose a rook, and they get a new queen. So this would be bad. But what do we want to do from here? We want to put our bishop out, our queen out, and we want to castle this way. It's the only safe place to put our king now. All right, so this is what we're going to go for in this position. Okay, our pawn is defended in the middle. I know it looks crazy here. But bishop e6, queen d7, and castle. Okay? So, d5. He took this way. For this, you can just look at how I played the game. This is exactly all you need to do, right? Here, you're just winning a pawn, and you could already feel pretty confident in this game right here. Okay, that's good enough. Now, if he doesn't take, and he doesn't do this, what if he moves the bishop? Some people are like, what if he takes here? Well, if he takes here, I can take this bishop. This is going to work out for me. I could also give a check first. Both moves are fantastic. Okay? But the one that I want to talk about is what if he moves the bishop? Anywhere, really. Let's say b5. Even b3. Just the idea of him moving the bishop. Remember, the knight is still under attack. So we have to move the knight. Okay? We don't have time to take this pawn, for example. So we got to move the knight. I always tell you guys, look for the moves in the center. Takes here. Our bishop's under attack. And now we just go bishop b6. And again, this is the extent of what I want you guys to remember. That's it. Bishop b6. You have a lot of options to develop your light squared bishop, castling, and the habits can take you from there. Okay? So this is all we need. Gonna have to do a little bit of memorizing, but they hit you with c3, d4 in the opening. We want to take the d5, and depending what move they do, they move their bishop, or if they do en passant, or if they take the knight, that's going to affect how you reply. Okay? What's the opening call? It's just the Italian for white. We play bishop c5, so we're going to be faced with this a lot, I would say, especially as we get up closer to 1500. Okay? So it's important to know how to handle this. Roy Donza, he got us, but an important lesson in the opening. This is not something that you guys should forget, okay? Because you're going to need to deal with c3, d4 a lot. Why are we analyzing this one? Because we are against the king's Gambit. Hello, BJH. Thanks, Jimmy Short Seller, for the 2-month resub. Peter 141210 and Travis Jeffrey, tier 3 for 16 months. Thanks, Peter, for the 8 months. Thank you, boys, for the resubs. Okay, so we need to just find something to do against this opening that is going to get us to a remotely playable position. That's all we need. That's all we need. Okay, so first of all, King's Gambit. If you actually, I mean, for example, the engine kind of tells the story. The King's Gambit is a very tricky opening, absolutely, and it's very playable. There's nothing wrong with the King's Gambit, but if you look at the evaluation, minus 1.3, that's a little bit different than, let's say, the Queen's Gambit. You play the Queen's Gambit, and it's actually, still has a positive evaluation for white. You play the King's Gambit, and it's like, whoa, minus 1.3. So don't let the engine, drive your entire understanding, but just know that the King's Gambit doesn't have the best reputation at the top level, but it's very, very dangerous at this level. So if we take, if we start by taking, what's going to happen? They're going to knight f3. They don't want to get checked. It's pretty normal. Okay. I decided to go knight here. Okay. Why did I decide to go knight here? Well, if my opponent played the move e5, then the actual best way to play this position is to put our knight here and to play d6 or d5 next and develop the pieces. Now, is that like the easiest thing to understand? I don't think so. Knight's going to be on the side of the board. There's a whole bunch of things that are going to be complicated here. And the thing about the King's Gambit is if you don't play it well as black, you won't just get in trouble. You might get checkmated, or you might lose a piece. So that's why the King's Gambit is very tricky. Is that the King's Gambit requires you to play pretty well for a large part of the game, right? As soon as you start to, maybe you play here and that's a book move, and you're like, okay, I'm pretty happy here. And then all of a sudden, white plays a few more moves, and then after this, for example, you choose the wrong move. Maybe you play knight here, and it's like, wait a minute, that wasn't the right move. You might already be in serious trouble. Knight d5. You say, why not knight d5? Well, why not knight d5? Again, knight d5 is an inaccuracy. Boom. Engine already screaming at you. This is exactly what I mean. The knight moves to the center of the board are both moves that aren't as good as a knight to the side of the board. So how confusing is that, right? How confusing is that? Okay, so that's why I think the King's Gambit is a very dangerous weapon. Very dangerous weapon. But doesn't mean that we have to enter all these dangerous lines. For example, g5, top move. Are we going to be sitting here playing g5? No. No. I think there's a couple very simple options against the King's Gambit that don't go into any of the nonsense and just get us a playable position that we can get out of the opening with, and we don't have to worry. We don't have to be too concerned going forward. So, number one, I would say one of the simplest ways to play against King's Gambit is d5. I don't necessarily think it is the best, but it's up there. d5, they're going to take you on d5, and one of the things they're going to try to do is not immediately take this pawn. It might sound strange, but we're just making him take us so that he can't harass my knight with e5. And now I get to play moves like this, and castle very quickly. Okay, so this is just a really safe. I don't think you'll see the King's Gambit that often, honestly. If you do see it, I think that taking it, playing d5, taking back, and then this position is one where I think it's very easy to follow the habits that we've outlined already. What if they play e5 instead? Oh, they absolutely can. And am I going to be playing g5 to back this up? I'm not. I'm not going to be playing g5. Okay? Even though it looks tempting. Probably here, what I'm going to want you guys to do is to just develop the pieces, as best you can, following the habits. So, do I want to see g5? No. Is e5 a mistake because of g5? Yes. G5 is going to be a good move. But white just wants to play this, and bishop takes. So I think something as simple as like c5, knight c6, bishop e6, knight e7, knight g6 is going to be good enough. Okay, we're going to get our pieces out, more or less following the habits. We can't access that square, so we're going to have to go to e7 instead. g6, bishop out, knight out, and then this bishop can go to e7 or c5. So, do I think that you're going to see a lot of King's Gambit? I actually don't. Maybe it is more common than I think, and if it is, maybe I'm going to take a lot of losses at this level. But for now, my 5-minute explanation is let's take this pawn and let's play d5, and we'll get the pieces out following the habits very simply. The reason that I'm not going to spend more time on this or choose a more difficult line maybe is because I don't think it's going to be seen that often, and I think it's much more important to focus on the things that are going to be statistically more probable. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. Play the odds a little bit. Spend more time analyzing and preparing for things that you're going to see more often. I think that makes sense. Okay, so that's our plan. We're going to take and we're going to go d5. We're going to try to get the pieces out like that. Okay, that's it. That's it. We're not going to play knight h5. We're not going to do, okay? we're going to stick with d5, bring the pieces out. That's going to be our answer. As for the rest of this game, it doesn't really matter because, I was playing, as you can see, I was playing moves that don't work very well. Playing moves that don't work very well, right? I was just kind of autopiloting. Why is this move a mistake? Because I missed that queen e7 is hanging. But the reason why I'm not going to spend time on this game is because we're not going to play this move anymore. We're going to play this move. So it's not going to apply. Okay? g5 is a very complicated move. If you guys want to play it, okay, go learn it. Go learn it. I'm going to go for something way simpler that is hopefully easier to explain and less to remember. Why? You're going to have to remember so many opening things. So if you think about the statistics, I would rather you guys spend your brain power remembering the things you're going to see more often than remembering a whole complicated line with g5. And it's like, yeah, great. If the 4 people out of the 1,000 games you play the King's Gambit, congrats, you might crush them. But the 400 people that play the Sicilian also need to be crushed. And if you're spending a lot of your time memorizing a line like this, you're going to be forgetting maybe things that you need to remember in more popular lines. So there's a lot of openings in chess. I don't think this is one you need to spend a lot of time on. This is a very simple 2-second answer. It's good enough for me. Accuracy, 89.7. What can I say? What can I say, boys? Now, how was our opening? Thought the opening was fine. This is going to be our plan for most of the openings. Is just knight c6, bishop d6. Knight c6 is not going to be the greatest move because you could maybe start to pin it and put some pressure, but we do have enough pieces to defend. Point is, this is a setup I'd like to go for every time that I see the London. However, the last time we played this was against the Jobava London. You guys remember it was actually this, and I said a6. So there's a distinction to make in your head between the Jobava London and the London. You can't necessarily copy exactly what you're going to do against one of those and use it against the other. Okay, so when you see d4, d5, bishop f4, we already know that we're in a London, but we don't know if it's going to be a Jobava London. You don't know if it's going to be knight c3. So if you play this, we'll find out immediately. Or maybe not immediately, but within the next couple moves. As soon as you see this move, play a6. That's what you have to remember. That's what you have to remember. But if that doesn't end up happening, you have nothing to worry about. You have nothing to worry about. So, first of all, e3 was what was played in the game. And we're going to have a look exactly what we're going to do against the London. Right now, this could still be a Jobava London. Absolutely. There's nothing about this that makes this a regular London until the move c3 happens. until the move c3 happens. Because right now, if I, for example, if I want to do, I just can't remember. I don't know what move I want to do. Okay, so knight c3 can still happen. Knight c3 can still happen. So I'm not gonna say this is completely easy, but let's say knight c3 happens. What have I been saying? We play a6 no matter what. So even if we play this move expecting the London, and then go with this move, which is a little bit different, we play a6, right? Because that's exactly what I said we want to do. Whenever we see knight c3, we want to play a6 to stop knight there. Okay? If they happen to play this, top engine move, they're super proud of themselves, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Just like we've discussed, this is a pawn that you are going to be able to take back, and you're going to be able to use this bishop. So knight here, maybe intending e5, decent way to start. e6, simply intending bishop takes c5, another great way to start. How many of your opponents are really going to play the move knight a4? Super weird move. Not b4, for example. This is the type of stuff you want to see. b4, knight a4, these are the type of moves you actually want to see, because most of the time when people play this, they're focusing on hanging onto the pawn. You're going to follow habits, you're going to get developed, castled, and they're going to have a bunch of things hanging out on the side of the board. So I'm not even going to bother looking at this. Explore it yourself if you want to. I don't think this is going to be a very common move. It's people who play the London, they never want to do this, because they shouldn't. People who play the London never want to remove their pawn from d4. d4 is like, the pinnacle of the London. You need a pawn on d4, otherwise you feel like you're not even playing a London. So trust me, London players won't be playing d takes c5. You got nothing to worry about. But we're not talking about the Jobava London. I was just mentioning this is the move I want to play, and I'm saying, hey, if they go here, they want to go back to Jobava London, don't worry about it. Just play a6 and keep developing the pieces as we've been talking about. Okay. So this is a very specific opening. A very specific opening. I want to play c5. Okay. If they know a bit about the London, they're going to go c3. They're going to go c3. Okay. Knight c6. Again, getting developed. London player taking on c5. No chance. No chance. Knight c6. Most common move for a London player at 1100. This. Definitely. Knight f3 is best. Knight f3 is best. Okay. Queen b6. Queen b6. Queen b6 is best. Okay, queen b3. Queen b3. Queen b3 is best. Okay. c4. c4 is best. Oh, top move, queen takes b6. Okay. Queen takes b6 is best. Okay. Take back. A takes b6 is best. And white is supposed to go knight to a3. Well, let me just come up with a exact amount of 1100s who are going to play knight a3. 0. That's right, 0. They're going to put their knight right here. You're going to put your pawn here, and you're going to put your pawn there next. That's all you're going to do. Once you do that, you're going to win the game. You're going to play a3 to stop you. They are not playing a3 to stop you. You're going to play this, and fucking half of them are going to take here and lose their rook, and the other half are going to take here. That's all you're going to do. That's all you're going to do. This is already a good enough position. They move the rook out of the way. Don't worry, you're just going to go back. You're going to play this move, this move, this move. Simple, simple, simple. Get castled. And then you're going to take this pawn and you're going to shove it right down his throat. Say, hey, remember me? Pawn b4? Well, I'm here again. What's up? Okay? That's it. That's the game plan. You can never attack this pawn chain because not only can you support it, but he's also going to be hanging this pawn to multiple pieces. So all that was apparently both sides playing best move, best move, best move. But what's happening after knight a3? Oh, wait a minute. The engine said knight a3 is best. Well, I got a question for you there, you fucking London engine. If knight a3 is best, why does black have an advantage? Someone explain that to me? Someone explain why black has an advantage when white just played like 7 best moves in a row? That's right. Because this line sucks. This line's not good. So even if you find an 1100 who play knight a3, there's a few guys in the chat, oh, I would play knight a3. It's like, yeah, congrats, dude. You got a losing position. You proud of yourself? This is no better. This is no better. So, after you are done refuting all the London players who play the best moves, okay, we can move on to the guys who play the subpar moves, like knight d2. Knight d2. Only good, not best. So, yeah, as you can see, we're at the bottom of the barrel of London players here. Knight d2. So, knight d2 happens. We go queen here. Now, after queen here, if we do our normal c4, queen c2 happens. And we do not have the trick that we wanted to use last turn, which was bishop f5. Okay? The last time we looked at this, bishop f5 would just lose a piece. The last time we looked at this, if our opponent played this move, we would play bishop f5. Just a great trick to remember in the London. If they take, you're going to take here, you're going to win their rook, but before you win their rook, you're going to kick their queen out. And they can't come back to join. You're going to have to go over here. You're going to take their rook. It's going to be the end of the game. Okay? You're going to end someone's career. Bishop f5. Just remember it. That's all. I'm telling you what it is. Just remember it. After bishop f5, just follow the habits if he doesn't take us. Now, knight here, you'll notice a big difference. If you play bishop f5, the rook's not trapped. You're not impressing anyone. Right? You're not impressing anyone. Rook's not trapped. So you can't do that. Which means we shouldn't do c4. It doesn't make sense. Which means we shouldn't do queen b6. It doesn't make sense. So against knight d2, we're not going to play queen b6. Okay? We're not going to play queen b6. Okay? Instead, we're simply going to develop. We're going to bring our bishop out. Okay? We're going to bring our bishop out here. Then we're going to bring our pawn here. We're going to bring our bishop there, and we're going to castle, and that's it. That's it. You're going to bring your bishop here. Now, why are the London system players punching air right now? Because their bishop should be on d3. But you got there first. Okay, so the guy just doesn't get his bishop on d3. Cool. Plays his knight, I guess. Bring your pawn out. And all you're going to do is play bishop there, bishop here, and just castle. Simple. That's it. That's it. That's all I'm going to say on the subject. You play against the London system. Okay. You play against the London system. Just put your pawn up here. Put your knight out. And not only will you already be winning 60% of your games with queen b6, but the other 40%, you'll just get a normal game with bishop here, pawn out. And remember, if the guy plays like this and gets his bishop there first, he's pretty happy with himself. After you play queen here, what's the buddy going to do? You're attacking his pawn. What's going on here? Is he going to play this? Just London players are just punching the air once more. They can't take it, and if they take like this, you're going to take it back. Not difficult. Put the London 6 feet under. That's it. That's it. That's the London. That's what you're going to play. You're going to see the London. You're going to play c5. Move 3. 1, 2, 3. Then you're going to bring the knight out. You're most likely going to bring your queen out, depending on what he does. Otherwise, you're going to bring your bishop out and just play those 3 moves. That's all you need. Especially at level 3, you're going to be KOing a lot of London system players. Fairly simple. But after c4, there's a big idea. After taking, white wants to take the entire center for himself and then take your pawn on c4 back later when it's convenient for him. When it's convenient for him. Okay, so that's the idea. We're still going to play d5 against d4, of course, because if he goes into the London, we want to have d5 there, knight f6, just like we planned. Okay, we have to play this because, on this, we're ready for this. So, d4, we're still going to play d5. But the question is, if he plays stuff like this, we're probably going to play knight f6, and we're going to go for c5. If he goes for c4 straight away, if you take, you get a whole different type of position. Not something we really want. So, I think what we want to do is keep it nice and simple. Go queen's gambit declined. Okay, so c4, we're just going to play e6. What's our setup going to be? It's going to be knight here, bishop here, castle. Can still follow the habits very easily here. And then this bishop can either develop here to b7, or in the right moment, when they take, the bishop could develop out here. But I think that's like a nice 1-minute explanation. We don't want to give up the whole center. We want to maintain this pawn here. So when he takes, we always want to take back with a pawn. That's why we're not doing this move. So he would just take and play something like pawn here, and it's very annoying, right? It's very annoying. This knight's got to go. Okay, and black just loses control of the center. So we start with e6. We start with e6. Our first fianchetto, not quite. So we knight f6, bishop e7, castle. Okay. This knight doesn't want to go here. Well, it actually might go to d7, but even putting it on c6 is not so bad. Obviously, that's something we want to fix going forward. But something like knight d7, knight here, bishop there, castle, and b6, bishop e7. I think that is pretty reasonable. If he takes, we can always develop our bishop out here. But I think that's all the explanation we need for now. There we go. Nice and simple. That's what we're going to do against the Queen's Gambit if we see it again. Okay? Going forward, don't play h6 and have your bishop end up there. Start with the knight here. Bring the knight to d7 so you're ready to take back with the knight after you play h6. It's a small fix. It hardly looks like anything. But I think it's going to make a lot of... I think it's going to make the world of difference. Knight d7. Make sure you're there to take back with the knight on f6. And then play h6 after that. It's just specifically in this opening, somehow it looked like we got attacked and crushed, honestly, because our bishop was there. Everything was a little bit awkward, right? The bishop was just like caused us to have to take this pawn, open the h file. Nothing went right. And then here, if he played f4, there's a lot of suggestions, but basically that queen needs to end up on this h file somehow. How do you develop the light squared bishop? You'll have a much easier time if you bring your knight out first and take with the knight. This bishop should end up on g4, but so happened in this game we weren't able to do it because our pieces were all over the place. But imagine this bishop's here and this knight is here. You can't even play the move g4. So it's very easy to develop. Bishop e6, bishop even to d7, bishop g4 is covering that square. We just have to defend this pawn first. 81.7, very acceptable. Very acceptable. Now, the opening. What is the point of the opening? What is the point of the opening? Point of the opening is we want to play d4. Okay. Point of the opening is we want to play d4, plain and simple. Okay, so what are we talking about here? We're talking about c3. I think it can be played before knight f3. I think it can be played after. The bottom line is this is something that we're going to take a look at as what we're going to play going forward. When you see the Sicilian, we're going to go for a setup with c3 where we're trying to play d4. If he takes us, we take it back and we own the center. We have these two pawns in the center. If you guys remember, I think it was a game I played with Dan. I think it was like this. This is the Mora. But one of the games, it was like this. And I played this, and his opponent played this. If you guys were watching earlier, and this was a game that was over in 20 moves. It's just a crush. Just a crush. Now, c3 prepares d4. When you prepare to play d4, if your opponent knows what he's doing, he's going to try to stop you. How can you stop the move d4? There are actually only 2 moves that are really relevant to stopping d4. And the only way to stop d4 is to attack e4. So black is going to play this move or this move. They attack that pawn. You say, why is that relevant? Well, attacking that pawn is very relevant because it's something that I have to respond to. I have to respond to that before I can play d4. And I cannot bring my knight out to comfortably defend it because my pawn is there now. Right? My pawn is there. You play e6 as black here. There you go. If you play e6 as black, you are making a mistake. e6 is not good. So everyone, if you want to get into matchmaking queue right now, make sure to challenge Nifa. Make sure to challenge Nifa. You will probably win in about 20 moves. So Nifa, you are what we call a walking W for everyone else. You're a walking W. Because e6, you're allowing me to do exactly what I want to do. Okay? e6, I'm going to go d4. And we get a position like this. Now you can make a choice here. You can choose to play the French. I don't wish that on anyone. Or you can play something like knight c6, thinking you're still in a Sicilian. And I'll play d5. And I'll very likely beat you within the next 10 moves. Right? Probably going to go knight e7 to get out of this. I'll attack your knight again. You'll move your knight. I'll check you, and you already lose a piece, and you consider resigning. It's very, very, very natural to get into trouble. Sicilian players will always get into trouble when they try to play the game like they're normal Sicilian. So, everybody who knows the Sicilian variations, they should know that g6, d6, and e6 are all very, very popular moves here. Very popular moves. All of them suck against c3. They all suck. Okay? Because they all allow me to play d4. Okay? So all these moves are going to be great. That's exactly what you want to see. You get your d4, you get your knight out to c3. So no matter what the position is, this is what you're going for. Something like this. You know, get your knights out, you got your center, your bishops can go to simple squares, that's it. So that's what we're going for. That's our goal. Now our opponent hopefully is going to prevent that. But if they don't, just so you guys know, stuff like this, you're looking to play d4, you're looking to harass this knight early with quick d5, and just get the pieces out. Nice and simple. Okay? So that's what we're going for. If they know what they're doing, they're going to stop you in one of 2 ways. What about e5? That was our game, actually. The game that I just played was c5. Or it was e5, rather. I played bishop out, I castled, I defended my pawn, and then I played d4 right after that. Now, if he took here, I would have been happy. Bring my knight out, bring my bishop out. It's simple. We'll just say that. So e5, I'm happy to play d4 anyway, just once I castle and defend my pawn. Okay. So, better moves. Knight f6, e5. What are we going to do against those? d5 we'll look at. Knight f6. He's attacking our pawn. It's a good move. It's a good move. Now, my favorite thing to do after knight f6, favorite thing, d4. If they take, okay, they take, e5 transposes, because we're going to see something like this. And we actually saw this exact same position in a Dan game. You guys remember earlier, if you're watching the Rapid with Dan and myself, this was something that we saw. This was something that we saw. We saw e5 and pawn takes. Okay? This is fine. We want to get these positions. Knight, bishop, castle. All right? That's our idea. Now, if I play d4 here, it's pretty much going to be the same thing as playing e5, right? If I play e5 and the guy goes knight e4, I'm not that concerned, right? Knight e4 is not a good move. He's trapping his own knight. Okay, we're just attacking. He just loses a piece. Okay, so he's going to go to d5. And then our follow-up is going to be, let's say, d4. Okay. And d4 we've seen before. He's going to take and he's going to take. So you see it's the exact same thing. Transposes. Okay? So that's what you're going to go for. That's just remember that as a general principle, a general theme. That's the kind of thing you're going for, and you can follow the habits from there. You're going to play e5. You're going to play d4. Okay? Simple. Now, d5. d5 is the other move that black can go for. And it also attacks this pawn. Okay, and it's the same idea as knight to f6. Knight f6 attacks the pawn. We had an answer for that is e5. After d5, can I play e5? Well, of course I can, but it's not attacking a knight anymore. It doesn't gain any time. It doesn't gain any time. Okay, so when we see e5, I already mentioned to Dan earlier today, it applies here. If we can make a move that brings our opponent's queen out into the middle of the board early, do it. Same thing in the Scandinavian. When you see the Scandinavian move 1, you take it. We want to bring our opponent's queens out. The guys are going to be 1100. What are they going to do with their queen in the center of the board? They're just going to get attacked a bunch of times. It's very, very normal. And it usually works out that when you have the queen in the middle, it gets blundered more than it doesn't. You know, it gets blundered more times than it actually does damage to you. So bring the guy's queen out. You want that. This is what you want. Let's say you follow up with the move d4. How many people are going to take this? Oh, an insanely high number. An insanely high amount of people are going to actually take this pawn. They're going to take it. You're going to take back, and you're going to bring your knight out. Okay, you're going to attack the queen. Very high number of people are going to take it. You're going to play knight c3. Yeah, 95% is fair. Like, trust me. Guys are going to be taking your pawn. At a higher level, of course, you know, they don't have to be. But they are going to be taking it. You're going to bring your knight out to c3, attack the queen. And imagine your opponent plays knight here. You're going to bring your knight out. They might bring their queen back. You're going to play d5. If you can ever play d5 in the opening, do it. Do it. You're going to crush your opponent. You're going to crush him. You're going to have really easy development. Castle. You're going to put the guy in a coffin. Okay? If they're, you know, playing against the pawn the way they should be, they might play e6 to stop that. But even if they play e6, you know, if they're doing some fancy stuff, remember, what's your goal here? Bishop d3, castle ASAP. Once you're castled, you get to play with an isolated pawn. You get to have your pieces going exactly where they want to go. Rooks, where should they go? Probably right here and right here. Knight, maybe at some point can jump into e5, but you're just going for a simple setup, all right? Bishop d3 and castle. That's all you need to remember. You can go with the habits from there. If you can play knight c3 and d5, though, do it. Do it. Do it. Here, let's just say, I don't know, bishop f5, knight here, queen back, d5. Again, it's another example. If you can bring that pawn to d5 early, do it. That knight is not comfortable moving around again. Okay? So, that's like a 10-minute explanation. I'm not going to go deeper than that. But keep in mind that when we played against the Sicilian, we are going to be playing c3, and we're going to try to play d4. Okay? We're going to try to play d4. If we can play d4, we will. If they play d5 or knight f6, okay, we have our moves ready for that. We're either going to take or play e5. That's it. Okay, I'm not going to explain more than that. It doesn't need more explanations. If you're ever not sure how to handle the position after that, just fall back on the habits. That's why they're there. That's why they're there. But we're going to try to set ourselves up for success with this opening. Should be a little bit better than what we've been doing. The bishop c4 variation against the Sicilian is not that great. Okay, so we're going to change that up. Also get a handful of people who, after attacking with the knight, just go like this, leave your pawn there, pretend like nothing's happening, takes it, queen there. Nice little trap there. Seriously, remember it, commit it to memory. It's a good one. You'll get a lot of people with that. What was I planning to do, though? I was planning to go here. If he didn't take it, played like knight here. Well, there's a few moves that I could do at the moment, but one of my favorites, you know, is to still try to get the tactic. Like, you know me, guys. I'm all for this tactic. D4. let's say takes the pawn again. You go d5. He's got to move the knight. Well, I'm actually trying to go queen a4 check again. No, I know I'm crazy. I'm crazy, but hey, the guy might take here. Well, I've got d5 again. The guy's got to move his knight, and then I'm still trying to go queen a4 and queen a4. Look, call me crazy, guys, but you're gonna win the knight a lot. You're gonna win the knight a lot. Trust me. So just continue. You got your setup. You know about the trick. If you can make that work, go for it. Hey, if not, just play d3, castle, nice and chill. Don't worry. Don't worry. All right, that's still a normal game. You still have good chances there. You should give some real consideration to taking that guy. And you know what I would have done? I would have played d5. Okay. Now, if this knight moves somewhere, I'm going to be playing queen a4 check and doing the same trick. So I assume that he might take me. And after he takes me, well, then I'm going to look to take back. Because if the knight moves, well, I'm looking at this bishop and thinking that I can get some good discoveries in. I can move that bishop and uncover a check from the rook on e1. Right? And I'm also attacking the knight here. So it's not that easy for him to get out of this position. Okay, so that's why I wasn't too concerned about what he might do. And I think I'd do the same thing if he didn't take, right? If he went here, it'd be the same type of move. Again, if the knight moves, I have that queen check. Okay, so we're really going to look to force the issue in the opening here with that queen a4 check. We got that in our back pocket. We also have our rook on the open file. So the way that he played it right here, I can leave that pawn hanging longer than you think I can. E4, C4, that's an opening that Dan invented. And you don't want to be playing openings that Dan invents. That's for sure. So, takes, e5. This should already set you guys up for success. Okay? This should set you guys up for success. It's a good opening. The knight has to move again. You're getting rooks to the middle. You got a lot of space. Look at the opening position that we got as a result, right? Every piece is sort of on their dream squares. We're bringing the queen to the middle, rook to the middle. This is fantastic. So if you're getting this opening every time, it doesn't matter how the game goes, because, statistically, overall, you're going to improve tremendously. You're going to get a lot of wins from this. Hey, you might take your losses, but if you start every single game with a good position like this, I mean, statistically, you just will start to win more of them. Okay, so that's why we study openings. It wasn't a lot. All we know about c3 is that the goal is to play d4. Okay, so if he's going to stop us immediately in the opening, what I've been doing is going bishop here, castle, just remember that, and then d4. And literally do these moves almost no matter what, unless your opponent goes crazy and does something like this. So what I'm saying is that even though my opponent attacked my pawn, I don't have to play d3 or something solid, right? Just d4, blast the position open, right? Every time that I say as black or as white, I'm too scared and I will not, in the habit series, take a pawn in the middle before I'm castled, remember that your opponent might not want to do that as well. Okay, it's going to be pretty scary for him to just go ahead and take this for no reason, all right? Feel free to trade pieces. And the reason why I say trade pieces is because those pieces are going to be used to attack you. I had the option in our game, even here after this, to play this move. Okay, very important move. Bishop takes e3, and without that bishop sacking on h6, I'm not gonna get mated. Basically, that's the bottom line. I'm not gonna get mated. Castling long is an idea, but we haven't castled long in almost any game, so I don't really want to start those type of habits just yet. I don't want to start those type of habits. I think kingside castling is what we want to stick with, but we're starting to get attacked a little bit more. Okay, so it's important to realize how to deal with these things. Trading pieces is always a good thing. So if the attack ever starts brewing, or you feel that it's about to happen, you can always trade pieces. For example, here, if you took this knight and then took this bishop, you see how much different the game would be? There's no way we just get checkmated here, right? No way. Okay, so you could do a whole bunch of trades and the position would be fine. We're going to go bishop e6 next, trade again. Okay, so it's really a product of us not realizing the danger. And let me tell you, this is how you realize the danger. Bishop and queen. When they're lined up, you have to consider the repercussions of that move. Now, doesn't mean it always works, but you always have to consider it. And if you're even slightly scared and you have the option to take the bishop, please do it. Please do it. May as well. Okay? So what happens here? Bishop g4 not recognizing the danger. And after this, queen takes. It's just basically game over here. Right? This doesn't help much. There's going to be knight g5 anyway. Okay? After takes back, knight g5, and it's brutal right now. And knight there, there's knight g5 by white, and it's game over. Throw up bishop takes f3, also a good move. It's not my turn here, but bishop f3 takes, all would be good. The reason I don't like the bishop takes is because he's going to castle this way and use that file to checkmate me. Okay? So that's why I'd be scared to do that. Okay, let's get some pre-moves in. Let's practice our pre-moves. I'm just going to throw this move there. Okay, he's probably going to check me. I'm going to pre-move that. He just doubled his rooks. I'm expecting him to check me. He might not, of course, might not. But I'm just saying, I'm going to pre-move this. Okay, what else is a good pre-move? The knight's hanging. I don't want to pre-move that, but I might hover it. Oh, he checked me. Let's block the check. Okay, I'm going to hover it again. And I'll take it. There we go. Okay, he's probably going to check me here. Let's pre-move that. All right, he set that up. He's probably going to check me there. Let's pre-move that. He's probably going to take it. Let's pre-move that. He doesn't have to do all these things, but anticipation. That's what all pre-moves are. Okay, let's pre-move a check. Why are checks good to pre-move? Because I can then think after the check about what I'm going to do next. Let's check. Okay, so I'm going to go here. Okay, let's check him again. Oh, let's go here to check him again. Let's check him again. All right, so I'm not saying that I'm going to win this game, but I'm doing the best I can, and checks are the best things to pre-move. Oh, which is why he did that. It's a great move. Great move. Aren't these pre-moves too much for habits? Well, I'm sort of showcasing how pre-moves work. I'm not out here saying we only have 0.2 seconds, so this is another good pre-move because it's check, but don't think we'll get the dub here. He just has to make a move. And queen h6 is a good one anyway. I'm showcasing sort of what good pre-moves look like. It's a little bit of anticipation, but it's also about utilizing checks very well. Checks are the best thing because when you pre-move a check, then you can think about what you want to do next while he's reacting to your check. So when I pre-move like this check and this check, I can think about maybe what I want to do next after those checks. Can use the time because he had a minute 33, and at the end of all this, he had a minute. So that's like 30 seconds that I can use to think.